How good were those Olympics? Just amazing. And finally, they staged them. And there's many things that we can learn from observing elite athletes perform at their sport at the highest level. And that's one of the things why I love watching the Olympics or any sport at the elite level. Because I like to observe, I guess, the character of the individual based on the results they achieve, whether that meets their expectations or doesn't meet their expectations. There's a great quote by the founder of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, once beautifully said, in Jiu-Jitsu there's no winning and losing, there's just winning and learning. And whether it be looking at the elite level of sport, the elite level of business, the elite levels of life, the lessons cross-pollinate between those different sectors, because your character is revealed by what happens or what you do, whether you react or respond when you're in a pressure situation. It's always very easy to be happy, happy, happy when everything around you is happy, happy, happy. It's very easy to be happy laying on the beaches of Fiji, having your Corona, enjoying the sun, surrounded by the people that you want to be surrounded by. That's very easy. But how are you when things don't go your way? How are you when the pressure is placed upon you? And there's the old saying, pressure makes diamonds. Pressure either will crack you or turn you into a diamond, and that is your choice. And these athletes of these Olympics, experience great levels of pressure, not just in the event, but also obviously the circumstances around the event with the pandemic, but also the delaying of the event for over a year. So they actually were training for that peak performance at that particular time the year prior to that, and the Olympics got delayed, and they could have obviously cracked and fell apart, or they could have just stayed true to their course and says, look, I'm going to keep preparing, and the opportunity will arise. When the opportunity arises, then I'll be ahead of the game for those people who laid off the pressure. They kept the pressure on, and these Olympics saw many Olympic records and world records get broken, which is a true character trait of these Olympians who kept true to their course and kept training to their elite level with that uncertainty whether the Olympics was going to go ahead or not. And I mentioned that in my previous KMAX, where success is when preparation meets opportunity, and many times you don't know when that opportunity is going to happen. The beautiful thing with life is you can make your own opportunities. You don't have to wait. You can just get up in the morning and I'm going to make this happen, and always be in the preparation to making that happen. But some of the things which I observed personally from watching these elite athletes wasn't just the sporting performance or the athletic performance or the results. It was just observing the character traits of each individual, because I've been taught by many great mentors, your true character is determined by how you treat people who have nothing to offer you, and your true character is revealed when things don't go your way. And in these Olympics, there are people who win, and it's easy to be a winner. Yes, I got gold, yay! Yes, I won lotto, yay! Yes, I'm successful, yay! But what you find is many times success is built on many lessons or failures or losings of people who kept going and they did not quit. Now, one of the greatest basketballers of all time, his name is Kobe Bryant. If you don't know who Kobe Bryant, then you maybe be living in a cave for quite a while, or just Google him. He's one of the great basketballers alongside people like Michael Jordan. And I remember listening to an interview with him, and he's talking about when he was a young kid and he first started basketball. In his first year of basketball, of playing as a young kid, in the whole year, he did not score 1 point. He didn't hit one basket. And obviously he was quite, unmotivated, because losing, missing, failing for 1 year. And he said to his dad that he was going to quit basketball because he didn't feel he was any good at it. And his dad gave him some wise words, and his dad said to him, and these are from his mouth, his interview, his dad says, Kobe, you can quit basketball if you want. But remember, if you quit basketball, then you're going to live the rest of your life as a quitter. And that really resonated with him, and he took up basketball again, and over time became one of the greatest basketballers who have ever shot the ball. And that is a true character trait of him, where yes, he's had a wise father to guide him. It's always good to have great mentors and coaches around you that hold you true to your course and hold you accountable to your promise. And many people are far behind on the promises that they made to themselves. But the people who succeed never break that promise. They keep going, they keep going until they succeed. They never, ever, ever, ever give up, no matter how many times they lose. And I have a great philosophy in my sport, in martial arts, that I teach my students, and I've trained multiple world champions. I said, look, if you train enough and you become good enough and you compete enough, you will win enough. You won't win every time. Now, I've lost more gold medals than I've won. I've won lots of world championship gold medals, but I've lost far more. But on those ones I've lost, that motivated me to get better, get better, and be so good that you can't be beaten. Become so good they have to pick you. But all that has to be built on lessons and lessons and lessons. And the great rower in New Zealand who competed at these Olympics, Emma Twigg, she won the gold medal in the single, what we call sculls. Now, I'm not a rower, but what I did was quite respected what she did, is that in the previous two Olympics in Rio and the Olympics before that in London, she made the final, but both of those times she missed out on a medal by one place. She came fourth in London and she came fourth in Rio. And in the Olympics, it's a long time between drinks. It's a long time between gold medals. It's not like they go have a World Championships or Olympics every single year. World Championships normally in most sports every 2 years, some every year. Olympics every 4 years. So if you miss out 1 year, then you have to go through 4 more years. How long? 4 more years. But what I do know is those 4 years will pass you by anyway. The only difference is, will you be back in the Olympic final, or will you be sitting on the couch watching the Olympics eating chips saying, geez, I wish I didn't quit, I wish I didn't give up. Now, to her credit, she came back from, she's been rowing for 20 years, she went into London, she missed out by one place. And fourth is a tough place to be because it's just one spot from that medal. The next hardest place to live, by the way, is getting second. It's the silver medal, because even though it's a medal, but you're just one spot from that gold medal. I always remember in 2012 in Canada, Ottawa, Canada, I competed in the World Championships in Taekwondo and the sparring, and I fought my way right through to the final, and I lost in the final. It was a nice close fight, it was a great fight, a great battle. I lost to an Argentinian who, soon after that became a great respected friend of mine. But I always remember standing on the podium, they put the silver medal, and the gold medalist is there, and as I got silver, when I got the silver, guess what I'm thinking? I'm not thinking silver, I'm thinking gold. And when he's up there with the gold, what's he thinking? Gold. So that actually motivated me to say, hey, I have to come back. I can't stop at silver. And if whether I got the gold or not, at least the journey is more important than the destination, because the journey gives you the motivation, the spirit, the character building, the personal and professional development. And it wasn't long before I was on the podium on the gold medal. But getting silver actually motivated, but it is tough. I mean, research shows that a lot of Olympians or winning silver medals actually go through far more, mental health challenges later in life than people who got 7th or 8th or 10th or last, for that matter, because they're so far away from the prizes, they don't have to carry that burden of, so close, geez, if only one more spot, or silver, one more spot, fourth, one more spot. And going back to Emma, is that yes, she missed out in 2 Olympics, which is in London and Rio, and apparently she was going to throw in the towel and retire because she was getting on in her mature years. But to her credit, she said, what the hell, the 4 years going to pass me by anyway, I might as well have a crack at it, it's a great thing to pursue. And so she trained for 4 years, 5 years, because obviously there was a delay. And yes, she won the gold medal, and she didn't just win it, she won it by a landslide. She was way ahead of everybody else, and now she has that gold medal. And she's probably, and I can't speak for her, I don't know, I never met her, but I've been in her shoes where I've lost, and eventually I've won. And I look back and say, if it wasn't for those losses, that wouldn't have built my character, my strength, and my resolve, my discipline, and my drive and determination to put me in that gold medal position. So the great thing of what I love about Olympics is not just about than winning the gold medal, because it's not about the gold medal. It's who you have to become to deserve the gold medal. It's who you have to become just to become an Olympian, or who you have to become an Olympian finalist. And just that in itself is so important, because no one can take that away from you. So what's really important is make sure you're not defined by the medal. Make sure you're not defined by the result. Make sure that you're defined by the person that you became, that discipline, that strong, that determined, that no give up, that person with resolve and that character. Because if you focus on that, then no one can take that away from you. The medals can be lost, the medals are forgotten, people forget about, I don't know who won the last Olympics and all the different events, because no one remembers. But what's important is who you actually become to deserve that position, or to be in that field. And when I compete, people ask me, how do you approach a final? How do you approach a competition? And what's my suggestion is not to focus on the prize, focus on the performance. Because if you deliver the performance, you get the prize that you deserve. So rather than thinking I'm going to go in to win the gold medal, think I'm going to go in and give a gold medal performance. And if you give the gold medal performance, then a lot of the time you're going to be in the running to deserve the gold medal. And some sports are subjective, where there's other judges' opinions whether you win or lose, and some sports are very absolute, like the 100-meter sprint, you cross the line first or you don't, simple as that. If you're doing a karate kata or a dance routine and there's judges judging, or gymnastics routine, they give you scores, then a lot of the decision making is completely out of your hands. The only decision you have to make is I have to go on that mat, or whatever it might be, and give my gold medal performance. So if you focus on the gold medal performance, even if you get silver, bronze or nothing, at least you can walk off and you can say I gave my gold medal performance. And then it's up to the judges to decide whether they're going to allocate the medal to you. So yes, it's easy to win, but also one thing I noticed a lot about Olympics is how people conducted themselves, held themselves if they didn't win, when they lost or whatever it might be. So it's easy to win. If you're going to win, be humble in winning and be respectful for your opponents. One thing I noticed is the Japanese competitor in karate who competed in the kata, because kata is where you get on, you do the karate movements, and he's from Okinawa, which is the first karate, that's the foundation of karate, or the beginnings of karate started, and he won, and he was the favourite to win. But when he won, what I did notice, he was just so respectful. He didn't win and jump around like I won, like a monkey in a cage. He took it, he bowed to his opponent, he went up to his opponent, he bowed, he bowed to the audience, and he went to his opponent's coach, he knelt down, he bowed, he was respectful, he held his celebration inside, he was respectful for the judges. Most importantly, he was respectful for his opponent, because his opponent's he's disappointed. So what he doesn't need to see is the winner jumping around his face going, yeah, I won, as if to say, I won, you lost, I won, you lost. That's not how you conduct yourself in the spirit of sport, and particularly in the spirit of martial arts and karate. Then he went off the mat, he went behind, and you can see he started to celebrate, by himself with his coach, but he didn't sort of, wave it around in front of his opponent's face. So yes, if you do win, it's very important it's up to you how you conduct yourself, but you don't want to be a breaker, you don't want to be flashing, I won in your opponent's face. Be respectful of your opponent, because without them, you won't have a competition. Always be respectful of your opponent, because without them, you won't have a sport. You have to have them to have a sport. The other thing, if you do win, be respectful of your opponent, their coach, the audience, and everyone, and the people who helped you get you there. Now, if you lose, well, I don't see losing as losing. I see losing as learning. Lose with grace, lose with respect, and lose with dignity. And I've seen athletes who do lose, they come second or third, fourth, and they're very respectful, and I take note of that, because to me, what's more important to being a great athlete is being a great person. And a great person, whether win or lose, is always going to be a great person who's going to show respect to everyone around them, no matter who they are, because your true character is determined by how you treat people who have nothing to offer you. So if you do lose, and I understand you're going to be disappointed, and you may feel that you've been hard done by, or you think the judges were wrong, or you think there was whatever it might be. But whatever you do, keep all that inside. Yes, you may need to release that, but release that in the privacy of yourself and the people who understand what you're feeling. But don't release all that out of the open. And we call that sore losers. I know one of the boxers in the Olympics, he lost. He was in the quarterfinals, going through to the medal finals, and he had a little hissy fit. He behaved like a little child, and that's my opinion, but I think there'll be very few people who disagree with me. He was ranting and raving, and he protested, and he sat in the corner of the ring, and he didn't leave the ring. And everyone else went for lunch, and everyone's gone, and he's still sulking in the corner, and he's just sitting there protesting. And I thought, well, rather than people remembering you as a great warrior, a great athlete, a great sports person, a great person, a respectful person, the only memory they have of you now is that little boxer. He wasn't little because he was in the heavyweights. That boxer who went and had a little child hissy fit, sat in the corner, sucked on his thumb. He didn't really, and did nothing. And he was there for about an hour until they actually moved him out of the stadium. And it was fortunate there was lunch, because everyone left the stadium and he was there by himself. And that's not going to, as if that's going to get the judges that's changed their minds. And if you lose, suck it up. The judges aren't going to change their mind. You may want to do a protest. Very rarely do they reverse the process. Just suck it up and say, hey, either the better person won, or it's out of my control. One of those sports was out of my control, and I'm just going to get better, and I'm going to make sure when I come back, it's back in my control, and I'm going to be so good that they have to pick me. So yes, I see winners who go, yeah, and I think that's nice to celebrate, but make sure you don't do that in front of your opponent who you respect, and without them you wouldn't be there, and they're going through a bit of disappointment. Be respectful of them, like the Japanese karate kata. When he won, he was great and held himself in dignity and respect when he did it. I see people who lose and they have a hissy fit and they sulk and whinge and complain and look for excuses and all that bit. That doesn't do anything for your reputation. As the great business entrepreneur Warren Buffett beautifully says, you can take 20 years to build a reputation, and it can only take 5 minutes, and you destroy your reputation, and they're going to remember those last 5 minutes, and they'll forget the other 20 years. So it's really important that you do that, not just for your reputation, but for who you are and how you conduct yourself, and to build your character. If you do lose, be respectful of the winner. Go up and congratulate them, congratulate their coach, be respectful. And I've seen a variety of losers in the Olympics. Some lose with dignity, some lose doing a dummy spit. And I remember the dummy spits, and I remember the ones with dignity. But the beautiful thing, most of what I noticed on the Olympics, the vast majority of these athletes were super respectful for each other. The winner, I've seen the winners, as soon as they cross the line, they turn around and they go back to all the other and they shake their hands and give them a hug, shake their hands, because it was not for the competitors, you wouldn't have a competition. And those competitors made that person better, and that person made them better, and they put everyone under pressure. I know the 110 metre hurdles, I can't remember the American's name, he was the favourite to win it, the 110 metre hurdle sprint. He was unbeatable all year long, and it was just, wasn't whether he's going to win, it's just by how much. And he was powering through the heats and the quarterfinals and the semi-finals. He was winning everything, got to the final, the pressure moment, and he was leading right through the race, and in the last, I don't know, about 10 metres, you can see he start tightening up. It's almost like he was starting to polish that gold medal. I don't know what he was thinking, I wasn't there. But the moment, because the Jamaican started putting pressure on him, and rather than keeping his relaxed running style, he tightened up, and the Jamaican beat him and pass him in the finish line. Now normally if you're the favourite and everyone expects you to win, and not just win but by how much, And obviously internally he's going to go through a lot of disappointment. We're only human. But to his credit, he held that in. He went straight out to Jamaican. He hugged him, he congratulated him, he ran around the track with him, and he had the flag with him, and you see that he was genuinely happy that on his performance, and he was genuinely happy for the winning of his Jamaican competitor, who deserved it, because you don't get what you want in life, you get what you deserve. And if you're not getting what you want, then become more deserving. Train harder, train better, be smarter, and you do that, then you're going to get what you deserve. And that's not just confined to sport, that's in life. If you're not happy with your bank account, if you're not happy with your relationship, you're not happy with your health, if you're not happy with your career, if you're not happy with your life, then hey, you created it. You know, this old saying, if you're fat, you ate it. If you're broke, you spent it. If you're unhappy with your partner, you chose them. If you're unhappy with yourself, then you have control of your thoughts, you can control your actions, and then make a change. You know, if you don't change, nothing will change. And sport is this one arena that I observe of how people control their actions and their disciplines to become more deserving. And if they don't achieve it the first time, they come back and they come back. And there's many Olympians who come back after years of disappointment, and finally they win. And even if they don't win, one thing they do win is they become a better person. They become more disciplined, fit, stronger mentally, spiritually, holistically. One of my favourite sayings is, winning doesn't make you a winner. Being a winner makes you win. So I come across people who win because they're naturally talented, or everything was on their side on that particular day, but I wouldn't call them a winner because they win and they're arrogant, they're rude, they're disrespectful, they're show ponies, and that's okay, that's who they are. But that to me is not, a character traits that I admire or want to embrace in my circle of influence. And that's not right or wrong, that's just different. You just have to decide what type of winner that you want to be, that you're going to be proud of, and that's going to inspire other people to get off their couch or get off their backside to go and chase their dreams, because you become a great role model, not just to people, but most importantly to the young kids around, which are the future of the world. So yes, it's if you do lose, then be respectful. I remember I was in the Netherlands in the World Championships in Taekwondo. This time I wasn't sparring. I was doing an event which I normally don't really do, I'm not really known for, which is breaking, which is what we call power breaking. That means you punch and kick through boards. And I went in for fun. And fortunately, over the years, I have won World Championships in that, which is not my normal thing. But this particular event, I was in the final with this big gentleman, and there's no weight class. I was with this big gentleman who's just a giant of a man. He's from Bulgaria, and his fist was the size of my head. And I thought, oh my gosh, So look, I have a crack at this, and fortunately, I did very well. And even though I'm not big, I'm very precise. It's like having a small axe, a very sharp axe, and you hit the tree at the right angle and you chop through the wood. And that's with a lot of my techniques, which is a knife hand and a punch and a kicks and all sorts of stuff. I won't go into it, but ultimately it came down to the very last break, and we were even. And no, I was ahead, and you get 2 points if you get the break, 1 point if you get a partial break, and 0 points. And it was a break which is the knife hand strike. I can normally do a knife hand strike. It wasn't something which I haven't done before, and I just had to break the knife hand strike, and I would have a gold medal in breaking, which is sort of cool because that's not my thing. I'm not a breaker. I'm more of a sparrer, and even in the kata or the patterns. But I thought that would be kind of cool, even though I've already competed in power breaking before. And this is really cool to be in the final. So I'm enjoying it, and I said, well, and I was lining up, and I was already polishing the gold medal. Yes, I was. I'm thinking, yeah, this is easy. I'm going to break this and get the gold medal. How cool is that? And that's the challenge, is when your mind, wanders off to the gold medal podium and is not set on the task. And I hit it. It didn't break, so I got no points. I was still leading by 1 point at that stage, and he came in with the hand. This hand was about this big, and he smashed it and he broke it, and he won the gold medal, and I took the silver. But I would say straight after that, I went up, I shook his hand, I gave him a little man hug, and I was generally very, very happy for him, because he's such a nice guy. And even though he came over just for the power breaking, I already won gold medals in sparring and patterns and all sorts of stuff. I already had a collection of medals, and this was just going to add one to the list that I had. But this was his thing. He came here for the gold. Now, he had these massive hands, and they were hard as leather. He was obviously a builder or something. He couldn't speak English, but we communicated through non-verbal ways of the respect and love that we had for each other. And I thought to myself, I said to Rory, I said, you know, he's come over here, he's got the gold medal, he's going to go back to this little village somewhere in Bulgaria. He'll have his family around him, and I say, how'd you go, Dad? How'd you go, husband? And he'll put out the gold medal, and they'll be celebrating, and he'll be the hero of his village. And I was sincerely happy that, even though I was disappointed with my break, I was very happy for his success and how that's going to affect his family, because he just seemed to be like just a nice guy. And it wasn't the make or break of my life. At the end of the day, it's a sport. At the end of the day, it's just a medal. At the end of the day, it's just a process to test your skill, your talent, your reserve, your character, your discipline. And great lessons out of that is that don't start collecting the gold medal until you finish the event and done the performance and got the results. So a great lesson for me that I carried on. And a lot of these lessons are purely can be directly implemented in all aspects of your life. I've known that through my career. I haven't always been at the top of my class when I went through academia or university. I'm not the most talented person, but one thing I can say is that when I want something, I keep working on it until I achieve it, because hard work will always beat talent when talent doesn't work. And sometimes talent can be, I guess say, it can be a hindrance, because people with talent tend to rely on talent and they don't go through the hard work. But to achieve anything in this world, whether it be in business, whether it be on building a successful relationship or a marriage, raising great kids, having a great career, becoming wealthy, becoming healthy, all of that is not based on talent. It's purely based on always moving forward, always moving forward. As a great Chinese proverb says, you know, if life knocks you down 7 times, stand up 8, and that will make you successful. And if you do get knocked down, then be respectful when you stand up. Don't stand up and throwing your hissy fit and blaming people, suffering from blame-itis, excuse-itis. Just take full responsibility. If you fell down, you fell down. For every mistake that you've made, you've been there. For every failure that you've made, you've been there. For every poor situation you've been in, you've been there. So if you want to take full responsibility, look in the mirror and work on you. And if you work on you become better, then everything around you will become better. As a great saying says, if the things that change, you have to change. And if you're going to change, and whether it be winning or losing, that's just winning or learning, then that's just the feedback. Learning is the losing is the feedback, where to improve, and be respectful of your opponents, be respectful from people around you, just be a respectful person. Whether you like the people around you or not, don't lose your own self-respect and dignity. See you in the next Kmax.